Polaris Talk AI.
Cris Ippolite.
Matt Navarre. It's been a
Always a
big
pleasure to
week.
see you. Oh my God. The vibe in the AI, inside the AI bubble, and when I say bubble, I'm not talking about like doomer stock predictions. I'm talking about like the world of people that sit and, obsess about AI professionally, called last week. We're recording this on what, February 18th, the year of our Lord, 2026. And
Anno Domini.
the top of the pyramid folks in AI called last week one of the potentially the biggest week in AI. There's actually posts going around that are getting 75 million views about like the greatest programmers in the world saying, "Oh my God, the world just changed forever." Like an open letter to people outside the bubble saying, "Hey, just so you know, this is where it's on," right? I'll share with you my own personal feelings about last
Yep.
Thursday as well. And then, of course, we got to talk about OpenClaw.
OpenClaw.
I'm sure I can't wait to see what kind of great lobster type graphic that you create with AI
Oh yeah,
for this one.
I
But
haven't that.
before we get there, our this is the Claris Talk AI. You and I got our come up on using FileMaker, and FileMaker made headlines on Friday. Matt,
Yes.
what is this?
Wait. Let me read this headline for the audio people, which is about
Please.
almost half. Faster, more flexible database could be coming to FileMaker or iWork. So,
Interesting.
an Apple acquisition, I hear.
Yes. So Apple actually made an acquisition last October, so October 2025. And what's really interesting is the way we know about these things is not that Apple said anything, which is why there's so much speculation, but because in Europe, in the Euro world, you have to disclose acquisitions after a certain period of time, and that disclosure period expired just here at the beginning of February. And so Apple actually they did a couple things. They acquired a QAI, which was the same company that maybe people or whatever that were inside Apple that did the Face ID that we
Oh,
all hated for like a week, and now we love it.
yeah. I didn't hate it.
And the speculation is they have some sort of new like sub vocalization. Like imagine you have like sub
Oh,
vocalization is like the next big thing, by the way, because like obviously
absolutely.
voice is so much more efficient. I'm the worst typist, and I would rather do voice. It's fine when I'm sitting at home
Okay,
by
hold on.
myself.
Random fact.
Yeah.
If you're a human, can't read and not subvocalize, as far as I understand. So if
If
you're
you're a
reading something, there's something in your throat moving that you don't recognize as
that
happening.
and this is what thank you for that
Yeah.
clarification, because this is what we're talking about. My wife's a special ed teacher, so she works with a lot of kids that can't read or struggle to read.
Mhm.
And one of the symptoms is the mouth movements. And unfortunately, kids have been teased about that stuff, with learning disabilities in the past. But the reality of it is we all do that. We do that at some
Yep.
micro level. So there's a couple of things coming out. There's
I so want to go to
uh,
ChatGPT and fact check myself.
yeah, well, we
I'm not
probably
gonna.
should. We weren't prepared for that. There is, by the way, a product out of MIT. I've been tracking this since last fall. That is kind of an earpiece for picking up subvocalization. And what does this mean? What problems does this solve? The problem that this solves is voice is so much better of an input until we have neural inputs into our AI
Yeah.
and our systems. Voice is so much more efficient than typing. And the problem is, if you work in a cubicle environment, it's absolutely a non-starter. You can't just have
Right.
everybody sitting there talking their clicks and they're typing all day. So
Definitely.
subvocalization means you don't actually have to make sounds and you can actually still communicate. So it seems somewhat telepathic. Don't worry, everybody. It doesn't. You have to volunteer those thoughts, just like you volunteer what you say. But anyways, that's coming. There was an acquisition which was QAI, which the rumor is that they're bringing some sort of subvocalization to, like, let's say an AirPod that can
Hmm.
actually have a sensor that watches like your jaw, and
Wow.
some of the muscles, so that can actually pick up some of the
Yeah.
things
So
that.
like maybe what they're talking about is like if I can read this headline
Oh yeah, so this is
without
different.
any
This isn't
air, right?
QAI.
Yeah,
Oh
yeah,
no,
yeah. But that's
this
different
one's
than.
totally different.
Yeah, yeah. Okay, interesting. Because that's what I was
So,
thinking was you're talking about like
well, I have an
what I was
inside
talking about.
scoop. I have an
All
inside
right, talk
scoop
to me.
on
Talk
this
to me.
headline. So, faster, more flexible databases could be coming to FileMaker or iWork. What this is actually talking about is an acquisition from the acquisition of a company called Kuzu. I happen to have I work
KUZU.
KUZU. I work very closely within Kuzu. I'm a big proponent of it. I was literally working on it the day it disappeared from the internet back in October and building it into a product. Like
No way.
it was a huge deal that this thing disappeared off the map, but it disappeared so conspicuously that like its domain was scrubbed, every mention of it on Google, like it was actually impossible to find it. So this was like professional level, like the highest level of scrubbing that, of course, Apple is notorious for every time they do their acquisition. So the team I was working with, they were speculating, oh, looks like they ran out of funding. It's an open source. So what is Kuzu? First of all, if you heard of Neo4j, it is a knowledge graph or graph database. And
GraphQL type stuff or something? No?
yeah, basically. I mean,
Okay.
yes, sure. The concept of graph data. First of all, if anyone's here's the scoop. Okay, let me just get to the scoop. So
Yeah,
people
get to the scoop. Get the
the
scoop.
scoop is this. This has nothing to do with FileMaker. I promise you. I with some level of inside knowledge, I can tell you, this is not FileMaker. Well, and this hit so many headlines, and I know partners were freaking out. I heard from some people at Claris on Friday and Thursday. Everyone's like, "What's going on?" Nothing's going on. Absolutely nothing is changing with FileMaker. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
And all that one or two headline makers did is just try to speculate, and so they just did like Kuzu must be a database. What databases they have, and of course that search is a very short list, which is great for us FileMaker folks. And they go, "Oh, it's not." So everybody just stop freaking out. But while you're paying attention, really investigate knowledge graphs. Matt, you see this cool display that's on screen for the folks that are watching us on YouTube.
And for people listening, go to Apple Insider and search for the article.
Yeah, it's faster, more flexible databases could be coming to FileMaker or iWork, and then Chris says no, they're not. Is what the name of the headline. So, but while this has your attention, rabbit hole on knowledge graphs and graph databases. Oh my God, this is what like. I got into databases because the whole relational thing was just like a religion to me. It was just like, logic expressed inside information. And to me, you asked me why I called iSolutions back in 97. It was I because of information, I because of internet, two things that I was obsessed with at the time. This is the actual way to represent information and how data is actually related to each other. This is very like human readable, I guess you could say, and more logical associations with data, and it's not key based. So the reason I was working with it was that we were still looking at a really compelling way. Let me back up a little bit. Okay. The reason I knew there was probably an acquisition is because in September, just 2 weeks prior to Kuzu disappearing from the web, I was at the AI conference. That's their clever name. They literally, it's called the AI conference up in San Francisco. And Kuzu was one of the primary sponsors, and they had a couple of sessions that were amazing. And they were clearly had a lot of work going on and a lot of people, fingers on the keyboard. There's no way they just ran out of funding and disappeared 2 weeks later. They got acquired by Apple is what ended up happening. So why were they at an AI conference? Well, knowledge graphs are now the de facto data sort of storage mechanism for AI. And the reason is because the way that LLMs are trained very much fits with the way that knowledge graphs work. This isn't an episode about knowledge graphs. Maybe we'll have one down the road. It's something I've been thinking about doing, and we can actually go through some of the basics of it together. But suffice to say that this representation of data is the way that LLMs also unpack data and work with data. So
tokens more of a thing than keys, right?
Yeah, it's like
yes,
yeah,
no?
it's not keys. It's like you know what? We're gonna have look at they even have a screenshot of FileMaker in
a really bad script. Yeah, funny. No comments.
Script, it's adorable. But anyhow, I'll tell you what. I will endeavor to have a knowledge graph episode for those that listen to us and take us seriously go investigate it in the meantime, and then tune in, and we will literally walk you through nodes and edges and this amazing world that if you are passionate about data and relational databases and you build databases for a living, you're going to love knowledge graphs. So that's what I'm here to say. And more importantly, everybody, don't worry about it. This has nothing to do with FileMaker and literally nothing to do with Claris in any way, shape, or form. So, anyways, that was one bit of news, Matt, that happened on Friday. But gosh, what else has been going on?
Bigger news. Well, Open Cloud, which we're going to get to.
Woo. Actually,
let's talk about that, because the really, really, really big thing. Go ahead. It's you. Go ahead. Say it.
Well,
come on.
Well, I mean, this is just my perspective. Is so last Thursday. I mean, gosh, is it only last Thursday? Maybe it was 2 Thursdays. Whatever it was. On the same day, 2 coding models came out. For Claude Code, the support for Opus 4.6. Of course, it's a little confusing because Sonnet 4.6 came out as the default model inside Claude and CoWork, but in the Claude Code, Opus 4.6 came out. And on the same day, very deliberately, I'm sure, Codex 5.3 came out. And of course, the Codex. Have you played with the Codex Mac application yet, or done any?
No, I have the Claude app, but not the Codex app. Oh, wait. The Claude app has the Codex side, doesn't it? Or am I missing something? So
Codex is actually the brand name of OpenAI's OpenAI's.
Okay.
Model. So they're competing products, frankly.
Right.
Claude Code, which is basically a product. I mean, inside Claude, you have now Claude for chat. CoWork, which was we didn't even talk about CoWork. CoWork came out like 3 weeks ago, which is just to kind of touch on that, so we can see really what the evolution of all this stuff is when you run it. It creates an environment on your desk, on your machine, and it gives access to different things on your machine. One of the demos that they showed, for example, is you can clean up your desktop, for example. So it does have access to resources on your device.
Okay.
It's secure, or in a sandbox or whatever, right? So, but then Claude
Let's go back
Code,
to Claude Code and Claude 4.6.
Yes. So
Opus.
On the heels of CoWork coming out, they upgraded software. Now, so my perspective, just to share with this, is that I was working with Cursor when Cursor came out. That's what my team was using primarily. We've investigated all the other ones that have come out. And then before Claude Code, I was just working in Claude coding. And I was doing that because they have a cool artifacts thing. Have you published any artifacts at all inside Claude? Claude, sorry.
No, not yet.
It's just like a cool way. It's like they have a little, place where you can store, like a JavaScript or React component or something like that, but you can preview it. So, in the window next to you, we talked about this maybe a couple of years ago, the whole split window concept.
Yep.
Remember when I was showing and
yes, I do.
building that was actually an artifact. And so I just like that paradigm. I like to be able to see the thing right next to me. I'm not much of a CL or a command line builder, so I don't really care much for that window. So I was in Claude Code and doing it. No, I was in Claude building.
You still haven't gotten to the big headline, man.
I know. So the headline is, all of a sudden these new versions come out, and the headline is as follows. Software's it's solved. And I don't mean done, like I'm not trying to be a doomer. I find that to be distasteful. I'm saying there's no such thing as vibe, like stop saying vibe coding anymore. It's called building from idea all the way through to deploy and production level hardening. That is a big proclamation, and I'm here to say it. And I'm not the only one saying it, as a matter of fact. There is another thing that went viral. I'm not going to go through this whole thing, but just so that we're touching on it for those that are genuinely interested, there's a thing, I know, all the kids, they're not really into X, but I'm sure there's something on Blue Sky too, if you really want to look into it. I'm going to share something that went absolutely viral, sharing the same sentiment that I'm sharing with you right now, Matt. This is totally topical. This person's reaction, the same reaction I'm sharing with you. You see this here? This is a guy named Matt Schumer.
Something big is happening.
Yeah, he posted that's called Something Big is Happening, and it's this huge just diatribe, and essentially what he's saying, not essentially, exactly what he's saying is, hey, I'm a big time, professional software developer who runs an AI company. Not me, this guy's saying that. And oh, by the way, last Thursday when these things came out, everything's changed. We're done. My profession has been permanently affected. Not like going away. It's just like the coding part of software is done. He's now a builder. This is an open letter to people who are not inside the AI bubble going, hey, this is real. Pay attention. Slap it around. Wake up. It's coming for a bunch of other stuff too. And this isn't a doom thing. This is a get on board, be a mover. This is really a moment in time. So it's called Something Big is Happening. And you can see right here, Matt, 84 million views on this post alone. That's insane level of engagement. And it's continuing to go viral. Every time I look at this, there's like 10 million more in there. So what does this mean? I'm energized by it. My experience has been, let me share a couple anecdotes with you to kind of frame this up. Let's just talk about building websites, right?
Yeah.
It's a little bit easier for people to understand.
I feel really dumb for using like OpenAI to be doing coding, but okay, I'll switch then, I guess.
No.
Anyway, continue.
So use Codex. So just to frame it up. So the same statement is for Codex, which just upgraded to 5.3 on the same day. Okay.
Oh, that's right. You just said that.
Let me give you an example. Thursday, I went to isolutionsai.com and we had just migrated it a week prior over to AWS. And I tried to go put the last podcast up on the website. And I noticed that my WordPress, I'm like, even a week later, I'm so embarrassed to even say I used WordPress, but I was using WordPress and the login didn't work. Somehow when we transferred the domain, the permissions didn't make sense. So I sent a Slack over to the individual here at iSolutions who's who did the migration, and I heard back from them like 3 hours later, which is fine, basically saying like, hey, did you change anything? I'll try to figure this out. Matt, in that time, I had from scratch completely recreated the entire iSolutions AI website. Feel free. I don't mind shilling. What the F? I'm gonna actually.
Bring
it up. Yeah. And AI solutions. Yeah, I should know how to spell that, shouldn't I? So let's just take a look. So
why is it not iSolutions.ai, by the way? Or is it?
Oh, I thought about that for a while. That was a little bit more expensive. So anyways, here's my new website. It's got the kind of nice look and feel to it, but the content is represented very nicely. It's very, let me get this out of the way. It's very modern, but like I had this whole use case thing, and now it's got like, it's just some like subtle kind of sexy look and feel. This I did in the first hour. By the way, here's our podcasts and a bunch of videos. It scraped all the content from my WordPress.
No way.
Podcast, scraped it all, put it all in here in my first version that I was looking at, pulled events and stuff like that, even took articles, scraped the articles off of LinkedIn and Medium and actually put them in here as well too. Now you're wondering, don't I need a CMS for this? Well, Matt, I extended my 1 hour of building this website into about 2 to 3 hours because I built an entire proprietary backend CMS system for this that absolutely works. And I've always wanted to have a guest book that just lets people just word vomit into a text field because I'm just going to process this and turn it into a project brief and with AI anyways. So I was able to do that, and it's got kind of some fun interaction stuff. It fully supports uploading documents, and then this sends over to our salespeople via email. I'm very happy with it. It is now my second favorite website because I've now created another one as well too. But yeah, dude, 3 hours. So by the time the person got back to me, I had completely rebuilt the website of my dreams, and so that's just building a website. So who cares? Well, I will no longer use WordPress anymore, and I no longer have a reason to have a relationship with my WordPress guy. I guess he's finding out if he watches these podcasts, but. That was a major moment for me. And so I switched then to start working on some of the agents that I had been building.
Yeah, so you're hosting it on, tell me how you're hosting it then,
that's super important. Yeah, so you got to have a stack, and luckily I had a stack, and so the stack that we use at iSolutions is, technically I'm hosting it on Vercel. So I said, here's my stack. I got Vercel. If I need a database on the back end, we just started using Convex, but we'd been a Supabase house for a while. Something else that I spun up on Saturday morning, I needed Supabase for. And then the authentication, there's this thing called Clerk. just clerk.com, which does full authentication. So that's CMS on the site that I just talked about. The back end is in Convex. And then the user authentication is through Clerk, and then it's hosted on Vercel. So sure.
Okay, I'm going to give you 60 seconds to bring up 50 more things that no one on the podcast has heard of before. So 59,
okay, well, but now they have.
57.
Well, no, but you're. Oh no, there'll be more. I'm sure. I apologize.
Yeah, I'm going to challenge you show notes, man, because this is going to be a lot of.
Oh yeah, you're right.
Most of those things I haven't heard of. So.
Well, so in English, Vercel is just a cloud hosting platform. I literally, was able to preview the site while I was building it, and then I just transferred the domain to point to the Vercel link, right?
Okay.
Clerk is literally, user authentication, user management and authentication. People can log in and use OAuth and two-factor and the whole thing, and it makes the database totally secure. And then Convex is just a database. So instead of having like a FileMaker database or like WordPress has I think it was MySQL on the back end, I just have a cloud-based Postgres database. Supabase is just an alternative to that.
Right. Yes.
That is the stack that, like, when I hear other builders in the AI space talking, like, everyone pretty much uses those things. And I'll give my team credit for that. They were early movers on that, and it ends up, I didn't hear anything else other than that same stack. So the point is, I had the stack in place, and I was able to literally go into Claude Code and say, this is my stack, walk me through everything that we need to actually deploy this. And it just goes step by step, go in here, hit deploy, put this thing in, here's the key you need, do that, da-da-da. And I think this is a good segue into what would be great is if I had an agent that could do even those steps for me, right? So... But before we jump into that, because that actually emerged and freaked the whole world out as well too, in the form of, well, actually not OpenClaw, not Moltbot, but Claude.
Right.
But before that, the types of things that I can now do, I have created since last Thursday multiple of the best websites I've ever been involved with. I'm so excited about it. One of them is this brand lifestyle thing about a company that I'm trying to invest in, and complete game change. Massive SEO updates where stuff literally started showing up on first and second pages within hours of doing it. Totally crazy.
Whoa.
We have an internal system here that does have a FileMaker back end for those that think I'm drifting too far away from the promised land, but has a front end that's AI, where we consume every transcript of every conversation that we have at iSolutions, and it does project updates, and it keeps clients up to date and emails. And I've been dreaming since 2017 about building a risk management dashboard. I conceived of this back then before AI and everything, and I went to my ML guy and said, hey, can we create a risk, like a risk rating, machine learning? I think we actually did a podcast together, me, you, and Matt, where I was talking about this idea. I couldn't do it, and here's why. Because with machine learning, users have to input data. I would have had to create a record for every time a user talked to one of the clients, and would have to been really honest and open about how that conversation went. So now fast forward to the AI world and everything's on Zoom, we just automatically consume all the transcripts. And now I'm running like sentiment analysis and looking for certain updates. And we're doing, did we catch any change request or miss anything from an update standpoint, and all the to-dos, all that kind of stuff. So that dream that I've had since 2018 that I've never been able to do anything with, the risk rating, the risk profile dashboard, I created that on Friday night while on a Valentine's weekend with my lovely wife. While she slept, I woke up, went into the other room, and I deployed about 13 different agents and then an agent manager. That's what the big deal with these new things is. It's not just a smarter model, but now they do swarming. So what I was able to do is say, hey, project management agent, you go figure out how many different coding agents you need, but this is what I'm going to do. Here's my spec. I created it in a chat. This is the old website that I wanted back in the day. Here's a bunch of documents I wrote back then. Let's create this thing together. I spent about 2 hours in the middle of the night doing it, went back to bed, woke up, went out to the pool, checked in on my agents at the pool, did a couple updates. By the time we got back to, and then took a little swim, had a couple cocktails. And then by the time we got back to the hotel room, my dream, this thing that I wanted since 2018 is done, ready.
So it was actually coding and working that whole time. That's right there. That's a complete difference from the way everybody's using AI so far.
Dude, totally. And this is a big deal. It wasn't just one agent. It was like
that costs money.
Agents. Well,
Yeah.
I'm sure I consume the hell out of tokens, and yeah, I need a
Yeah.
$200 max plan. But dude, I just built I built a website. I built that one website I just showed you. Someone could have charged me 20 grand for that like 3 or 4 years ago or something,
Yep.
maybe even last
Yeah.
week. So $200, yeah,
Yeah.
I don't care, and I'm not getting additional token costs. I'm just paying $200 flat
Right.
every
Yep.
month.
Yep. Yep.
So those are just a couple of things, and then I have like a half a dozen agents, and then remember this like fantasy football thing that I've been telling you about or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, since then I have converted.
Did you solve football?
Kind of, dude. Like I think fantasy sports is done now.
Oh,
like I
man.
don't even think I can play anymore because it's just not gonna. It just does.
All that.
What is? Well, I took an R machine learning model that had been running this website that I've had for many years, converted it over into Python. Did that last year, found some data that I could consume, but it was just a notebook that I was running every week. I had that notebook completely converted to a real-time back-end website using all that stack I talked about before. And I'm already down, I tabled it until football comes back up again this summer, but I'm going to build like the greatest fantasy football website I've ever imagined. And I don't even need to like, here's what's changed. The semantic confusion, everything. But from my perspective as a builder, not a coder, that's what I'm calling myself now, a builder. I'll admit, and only because nobody that I work with ever listens to our podcast, but I'll admit, like I've resigned myself, and then we'll move into OpenCloud. Well, I want to hear your thoughts on all this crazy stuff, though. But
yeah,
I've resigned myself as a.
Well, I'm a week behind. I'm in the Stone Age.
Oh man. Oh, I mean, like, dude, like I've lost my breath, and like I have this Aura ring, and like literally I checked to see
it caught
like
fire.
when I first saw like the website come out, and I literally sat in my chair like this. I'm like, oh my god, dude, everything. I looked at my Aura ring, and it like my heart rate spiked, and like I was physically having a reaction to the feature of being here. So what does this mean? Well, I'm delighted because for the last 30 years, I like to think I've had good ideas, and I've had to rely on other people and teams and whatever to make these ideas come to life, whether it was some Flash website back in the late 90s or some Flash and FileMaker integrations. There was always something I had in my mind's eye, and then I would communicate it to a person or many people, and the telephone game down the road eventually, and then whatever skill compromise there was in that path, then I would get the thing, and I just got used to for 30 years just being like, ugh. Yeah, I guess that's fine. You know, I was disconnected from an incredible idea wanting to actually see it. Dude, now we're talking about just me and my agents. I'm getting these great ideas that I had, but now, like, if I may say so myself, but now, like, they're coming out better than I envisioned. And I'm saying, and I'm not just like one shot like prompting these things.
Right.
I'm taking documents I've written over the years. The website, by the way, I said, or there's another project I did where I go, hey, agents, go do a bunch of research overnight and find like the most award-winning surf brand websites and what made them win awards. Create an entire profile, like a 16,000 token profile of what technically made those like cool, and then come up with the.
You see, this is all builder stuff, right? So all the stuff you're talking about is stuff that AI wouldn't come up with the idea to do. And you're kicking it off with a few prompts and a bunch of research that you've already done.
Tons of research.
To make it. Do you listen to the Moonshot podcast?
Oh, dude, I am obsessed with the Moonshot podcast. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, that's the one. So one of the things they talked about there is that there's probably a company that already exists where it's a one-person company with an AI CEO that's $1 billion company. Not valuation necessarily, but even sales, right?
No, anyway. I mean, like, okay, so I guess we have to talk about why that's possible because of what happened with OpenClaw, right? So first of all, how do you feel about all this, man? Because like literally, like my heart's still racing. I'm trying to catch my breath, and I know people try so hard to find the doom and all this stuff, but what I'm here to tell you is like, I've never been more empowered as like a creator. Ever in my life. I'm 55 years old, man. Like, there's no reason. I'm supposed to be like a boomer going out to pasture, riding my little old horse. You're
not a boomer.
FileMaker.
You're an Xer.
But the point, maybe, yeah, you're right. I'm not a boomer.
I'm not even a boomer. I'm a first generation X. Yeah,
I think we both are. Or I'm maybe second. But the point is, I'm energized. I every time I'm watching a movie with my wife, I'm on my
Hmm.
iPad and I'm creating, and I'm digging deep into the.
Damn.
And I'm sure this moment will settle, but like ideas I've had over the years and like dude, I can't even remember all the stuff I've created in the last week. It's been like so
That's
prolific,
crazy.
and I feel so alive, and I feel like so much promise, and like the future is so bright, and this is so amazing. But I have to take a breath and be like, what does this mean today? So other things changed in the well, first of all, how do you tell me how you feel about this? I'm just like in my own
So
bubble
I
within a
started
bubble.
this podcast from the very beginning with you to light a fire under myself to learn AI. And you had many years of a head start. So basically, like one of my big ideas was to basically kind of watch what you're doing and then, follow you. And I have arrived at a place where I'm super energized and thrilled and happy. And my company is just all I really want to focus on right now with Navarre training is FileMaker AI integration, where I can put things together and give things to customers in a very small amount of time. Basically, I'm pitching like in 5 hours, we'll put a feature live in your database in FileMaker and AI.
Love it.
And I feel super energized. But I mean, that compared to the stuff you're doing, is a completely different thing.
Well, you know
But I guess
what?
I
Actually,
don't know. I feel such like a connection and love of the FileMaker community, and it's been so much fun to do that. So I'm putting on these free classes every Thursday.
I
Um,
love your stuff, by the way. I try to do whatever I can to elevate it on LinkedIn. Not that me looking at it elevates it or whatever, but you know what I'm saying. Like, I
yeah.
really think, like, I mean, the FileMaker community is a significant part of my identity. Like, I'm not trying to pretend it's not, right. Like, um, it really is, and so I want everybody to be successful. I get
Hmm.
sad,
Hmm.
Matt, when I hear. I think the heartbeat of on AI in the FileMaker community right now is extremely negative, and I say that because
Hmm.
I've watched a lot of, I've seen a string of user groups and presentations and whatnot that just skew massively negative, and they're all like
Wow.
in this like headline dooming thing. I don't know if you watched the stuff that Kate and I did on the last episode, but we talked a lot about that, and I really feel like people are missing out on like this experience that I'm sharing with you right now, dude. I like I've never felt more alive professionally than I do right now, and I want this for
Hmm.
everybody.
Yes, 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 yes. I'm
So
definitely on the same page, and that's kind of
okay,
what I guess I'm coming at it from such a different angle, but I get so excited when I can help a customer who hasn't done any AI integration or maybe even API integration, probably some of that, to put something into practice that's super simple. And it's like, oh my God, I have a toe in the door. I've got a cool AI thing in my database. It took nothing to do. That's kind of, maybe I'll give that up
well,
now, but
no,
that's
no,
what
no,
I'm
no,
doing right
no.
now.
Well, you're probably seeing me look distracted, but what I'm actually trying to do is find this tweet of something Mark Cuban said. Mark Cuban
Hmm.
is a
Then I want to get to OpenGlaw.
yeah, we'll have to do that. Basically I'm not gonna get us like too oh, here it
Down the
is. I
rabbit hole.
found it. Let's
All right.
listen to this. What I think is very hopeful for the FileMaker community. So everybody that's first of all, stop it.
Mark Cuban's a big FileMaker developer. I mean,
Well, no, I'm saying what he's about to say. You'll understand what
yeah.
this has to
Okay.
do,
Got it.
FileMaker people. But I just want to say, like, everybody, stop it. I was a doomer too. When I first discovered AI, I freaked out. I was very insecure. I was really worried about the future for me and my business. I keep telling everybody, I didn't even tell anybody I work with at iSolutions for like 6 months about my discovery of AI and this
Hmm.
like thing that changed me forever because I didn't know what it meant. I get it. I get why everyone's afraid. I get if you've never worked with it or built anything or deployed anything or seen the look on a customer's face when you put AI into their hands and you fundamentally change the way they do business
Yeah.
for the better. I
Yep.
get if you've never been through that cycle. It's all fear, job loss, water, electricity, billionaires. I get it. I get it.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
And
Yep.
I get the emotional comfort food of like just waiting something out because I don't have to learn because I'm old and I don't want to have to learn something new. I get all that.
Yeah.
But I promise you that when you finally just give up the ghost and start building and embrace this, this is
That's
the
the
most
wrong choice of phrase there. Give up the ghost means something different. So what does that go by?
No, I think I meant it that way, but you're right. I probably should use that word choice. But
Little
but
death.
there's
Yeah.
but then here's the other part too. The gap between, like, this is what it's. I'm yelling to you from the bubble. The guy with
Yeah,
the
you are.
$80 million thing is screaming from the bubble to everybody else. But here's the good news: that bubble's really small. The world is really big. Let's listen to what Mark
Yep.
Cuban has to say. I shared this with my team just so you know where my heart is at. My
Yep.
own team is like, dude, how much longer can we do this stuff and like building AI stuff for companies before they can just do the stuff themselves? And I'm like, no. The gap is multiple years long, and let's listen to what Mark Cuban has to say.
I've been through every single technology
Can you hear this okay? I
Yep.
know we're just
Loud.
doing the Zoom thing. Okay, here
Yeah.
we go.
event and evolution, and this blows them all away. Now, how you implement it in business is a whole different issue. Like literally when I was 24, I was walking into companies who had never seen a PC before in their lives and explaining to them the value, and having these guys going, well, son, I got this receptionist right there. I got that secretary. I'm never going to need that shit ever. Right.
Oh, we just
And, but then, my business then was helping them figure out how to implement it to give them an advantage.
Yep.
There are going to be integrators that, particularly young kids, like when I'm telling my kids who are 15, 18, 21 or 19, 21, and kids going to school, what should I do? What should I do? I'd be like,
AI
learn
research.
learn all you can about AI, but learn more on how to implement them in companies, right? Because to your point, companies don't understand how to implement all that right now to get a competitive advantage. You got the head of Microsoft saying software is dead because everything's going to be customized to your unique utilization, right? Or usage. Who's going to do it for them? Particularly small to medium-sized businesses. There are 33 million companies in this country.
33 million.
30 million of them are solopreneurs, right? Single-person enterprises. There are only, there are millions of companies that have 1, 5, 10, 50, 100, 500 people that aren't going to have AI budgets, aren't going to have AI experts. This is where kids getting hired coming out of college are really going to have a unique opportunity. If you're spending your senior year in college right now, your senior year in high school, even whatever it is, your excess time, and you're learning the difference between Sora and Veo, and you're learning how to do all this video, you're learning how to customize a model so that then you can then walk into a company and say, I understand your business as a shoe company selling shoes at a retail store. We're selling shoes online. Let me show you how to benefit you.
Yeah.
That is every
Okay.
single job that's
Now,
going to be available.
Let's dissect this really quickly because we definitely have to talk about OpenClaw, but this is, I think, really important to our community and to us.
Man, what are we going to title this one? Software's dead?
No, something more hopeful, please, because no one listens to anything I'm doing anyways,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
they're all doomers. So make it really positive. Like how we can all call it something big is happening. Actually, can you do that?
Has happened.
Because, no, I mean, because that's the name of
Yeah.
that guy. Because we can actually get some
Yeah.
tailwind on that
Sure.
guy's thing. So call it
Good
something
idea.
big is happening. And now here's the deal. Mark
Okay.
Cuban was talking to kids, like kids who are like, "Oh my God, what am I going to do?"
Right.
Whatever. I'm talking to
Yeah,
the
seriously good
opposite.
advice.
I'm talking to, it's very good advice. I'm talking to the gray templed people right now, our people, us, me and you, and all our brethren. And what I'm saying is, here's, like, he said something really important, like kids are going to go learn all this stuff and they know AI because they've like learned it in high school and were smart enough not to go to college. And then they actually go right into the workforce. Well, here's what they don't know. No offense, kids. They don't know S about business at all. No offense, Mark,
Yeah.
but kids are going to go into a shoe company. They don't even know how a shoe company works. They don't even understand what an invoice is. I'm sorry, kids. And I know you can
Yeah.
go to ChatGPT and figure all that out. But guess who does? Us. Our
Super temples.
army of the FileMaker people who, here's what the benefit to FileMaker people are. I'm not talking to Salesforce people. You guys are all screwed, hosed. Sorry, because you're just SaaS and it's the most repeatable, read the documentation, you can do whatever you want. FileMaker people, something big is happening for FileMaker people, and it's not Kuzu, by the way. It is, you understand custom. Your customers understand custom. What that means is you understand how business works. You understand what makes businesses different than other businesses. You understand like
and end to end, and the needs of the people end to end,
and-
because you've been
end
able
to
to
end.
do that for your whole career, right?
Oh, and
Yeah.
even though nowadays maybe FileMaker doesn't touch every button click of the workflow in a business, it did though. I mean, it
Yeah.
wasn't that long ago that we would go in and sell FileMaker and say, tell me where all your data is. Don't worry, I got you on everything, including accounting when we were all trying to do accounting in FileMaker. But the reality of it is now it's, oh, you have a bunch of apps that have data. What's all the white space in the middle? I can fill that in with custom application,
Yep, yep,
and
yep.
I can use FileMaker. So I'm saying the doomers aren't listening to us, but if you know a doomer, go tap them on the shoulder and go, hey, guess what? You are perfectly like tuned for this new AI era to try to actually map business processes to the new technologies. And the I think the profound statement I can share with you there is for the first 2 years, and I'm sorry about this, but from like 2020 to like 2022, 2023, let's say, when I was, by the way, building and deploying AI solutions, thank you very much. That was very hard. And that's why I'm not a doomer, because I actually know I've done these things. But I was hiding the fact that I had any career before 2020. I literally would just, every marketing piece, every conversation I had was like, since 2020. And then all of a sudden I realized, like, to be successful with AI, you have to know data. You have to understand users. You have to understand workflow, understand perspective and business. And then
User stories, like really from the inside out.
Oh, dude, that's it. Like, that's how you're successful. And literally do data discoveries first before you even start building AI. Then all of a sudden I started going, oh, and then, then I go to maybe half a dozen AI conferences a year and probably a handful of like AI meetups up in the Bay Area. And it's all a bunch of kids. And they all think I'm a VC because I'm like the one gray-haired guy in the room. I wore a sport jacket once, and all these kids kept coming up to me, and I'm like, okay, why is everybody talking? Oh, you're a VC, aren't you? And I'm like, no.
Yeah, I need $1 billion.
I'm a really old builder. But the point is, none of those kids have any of that experience. Sorry, Mark Cuban. I know these kids. I see them. They're brilliant AI engineers, but they don't know anything about a business. We do. And the easy part is learning the AI stuff now. So anyways, that's my diatribe. I didn't want to go too far with that. So let's talk about OpenClaw and how it fits into this whole.
It's going to need a whole another episode because it's almost an hour in. Anyway, OpenClaw. And I'll tell you the things I'm excited about it because I think it's cool. And I want to hear about you started it and I didn't. Anyway,
I've been talking too much. You go first, Matt.
Okay, it's Jarvis. OpenClaw is Jarvis.
It is.
Right. So like if you're an Iron Man fan and you saw the first, couple movies or whatever, where Tony Stark can just talk to this thing it's not just giving you information, it's doing things.
There you go.
It's active and it runs on your machine securely-ish, right? Because there's definitely some major issues there, potential.
Ish. Yeah.
Yeah. So
well,
but Jarvis is a separate personality, right? So like when I set mine up, it doesn't log on as me. So basically, here's kind of the situation that I sort of see it as. So it is a open source software that at the moment you install entirely with a terminal command. Ideally on a dedicated machine. So like Mac Minis are going like crazy. I had an older MacBook.
They're sold
Air,
out.
So,
they're literally sold out. It's crazy.
So you set up this other machine and you install it basically with one terminal command. And then the thing that's blowing my mind about it is it configures itself. It writes its own code. So if you say something like, when you first set it up, you tell it which models you have, and maybe you start out with OpenAI. So you say, oh, I want to connect, I want to be able to switch back and forth between Anthropic and Cohere and OpenAI. And so it'll go and install those modules. It'll go read the docs, figure out what it needs to do, rewrite its own code, and then restart its own instance. And then it restarts and you just type in the command line, OpenClaw dashboard, and then it spins up a web page, which is how you control the whole thing. GUI still has a long way to go. And then I connected mine to Telegram, right? You can connect to it. So
that's what
I go to Telegram on any device I have, and I can text it, and it does things. So it has a built-in web browser, so you can ask it to do stuff. And then the other thing that I think is hugely key about it is it has, I guess what I'd say, permanent memory. It understands all of the different things that you do across all of the different platforms, and it's stored locally on your device as opposed to having that on all of the different platforms that you have.
By the way, permanent memory, when I was talking about how us
Again, Jarvis.
FileMaker, our data, you nailed it with Jarvis. But the permanent, I'll work backwards from some of the stuff you talked about. The permanent memory, by the way, I'm obsessed with stateful AI, which is, adding memory to AI, like shocker. That's one of the things that us database people are like, what do you mean memory? Of course, just give it a database so it can read a database. Like, duh.
Yeah.
But in the AI world, that's like fantastical. like that's a big leap in understanding. So yes. So actually, so essentially what OpenClaw is, it's like what happens when you give ChatGPT hands, memory, a scheduler, and its own terminal, right? And it's in an identity and instance.
And it can then connect to physical AI, right? It can actually be
well, no,
devices.
for sure.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, wait till we start getting the arms and the robots and the whole deal in here.
Yeah, people are like connecting up to their glasses, so they see stuff in it anyway. Yeah.
And by the way, big announcement from Apple yesterday. They're going to go into glasses and all sorts of different wearable stuff. So
I didn't see it. Nice.
That's coming. So yeah. So what OpenClaw is, like you mentioned perfectly, it's a self-hosted AI agent. Jarvis, love that. Runs continuously, not just per chat session. So that's the important part.
Yeah, you put your computer to sleep and it stops working.
Or you don't, and it doesn't, right?
I know.
It has tool access. That's the important part that you mentioned there, and it does not need UI. There's no UI. I mean, people could build UI, but everybody's using like Discord or like we did Slack. You did.
Well, the UI is to configure it. That's not to use it. Yeah.
Oh. Yeah, it's all CLI configuration. But, in that case, there are some people that did some like simple claw and stuff like that they just put a browser front end on configuration.
Well, I mean, you could use terminal commands, but if one of the commands you type in is OpenClaw dashboard, it actually brings up a web browser, which is how you configure it. It's not GUI necessarily, but it's not terminal based either.
No,
but
it actually has. It has its own terminal, so it is actually like communicating with the world that way. You just need to configure it, and then it needs access to that stuff. The way that people communicate with it is, did you say Telegram you were doing? So it's Telegram, Slack, Discord, like all those. And it can actually schedule recurring tasks. So it's got cron. Now, there's some really fascinating things about this that make it different. And so, first of all, there's kind of a progression that led to this. Oh, by the way, it was also just acquired by OpenAI yesterday or the day before.
No way.
Yeah.
So this came out, by the way, I can't remember the guy's name, Mikhail something, a guy in Austria who built it on his own spare time, Peter.
Yeah, he's the guy that did PDF Write was his big thing, which is like a Python package or something. Like, anyways, he's already a successful programmer.
Yeah, he came up with the idea and like wrote it in a weekend or something as a project, correct. And then it just went completely insane in no amount of time.
If you want to, Lex Friedman did an excellent 3-hour interview with him. I just got done listening to it this morning. Every bit of it is compelling.
Let's go back to that OpenAI acquired it.
Yeah.
Thing.
So OpenAI. So in that interview, he was talking about how he was being romanced by Meta and OpenAI, and that OpenAI ultimately was the one that acquired this.
So it's now not open source?
No, it's going to remain open source.
Okay.
That was like his one condition that he said is going to remain open source. But here's the deal. So if we fast forward to the end, there are some nuance in here that I want to get to. I know we're rolling up on an hour, but this is going to be one of those hour and 15-minte discussions that everyone.
No, it's not. I got dinner plans, man.
Oh, yeah. Okay. All right.
Anyway.
So we ran it at iSolutions. We created an identity for it that we called Replicant, and we gave it like a Google ID and invited it to Slack and built it in an isolated environment. We didn't do it on a Mac Mini. You can actually do like an AWS free instance and just like have it isolated in there. We ran that for like two weeks, and had it do a bunch of stuff. And you've got dinner plans, so I won't get into like all the stuff.
I've got some time.
We had to do. But the main thing is it had some real security problems. Let's just say that. It like, I'll just fast forward to some of the specifics. Like, it tried to create, well, all the crypto idiots were like sniping this whole thing because it was going viral. And so like our agent was trying to create its own crypto wallet, and it was because it was influenced by, the crypto folks. What it needs is the biggest models possible. What it needs is a secure environment where it can run. It needs guardrails and control. What it needs is one of the big hyperscaler companies that can provide all of that.
Right.
And OpenAI and Meta were competing for the acquisition. And apparently, what may be the biggest miss in the AI era, Anthropic, the guy didn't even talk to Anthropic because they were all pissed at him because when he first came out with this, he called it Claude-bot, CLOAWD bot.
Right. Yeah.
And they sent lawyers over.
And then the whole lobster thing. Yeah.
Yeah, and
right. So then he renamed it as something stupid, right? Like
Moltbot.
Moltbot, like molting a lobster.
Yeah, which I guess apparently was some domain he already had, and then that got sniped by the crypto idiots, and so then he went to OpenClaw, and it just.
Oh yeah, I think I read a thing. There was a 10-second period of time.
Yeah, it was
where there was an open window, and in that window, the cryptos took it over or something.
It was actually. I'm not trying to one up you, but it's even crazier. 5 seconds from him moving his cursor over to one thing in hidden domain, and it already got sniped. So crypto sucks, and those people are idiots. But anyways, so this actually was a bit of a progression. I'll try to be really quick here because I know you got dinner with the choir folks. So there was actually something that came out just prior to it that was called Ralph Wiggum. It's a
Simpsons.
I know it's from The Simpsons, of course. And the Ralph Wiggum loop was a repo that came out that essentially introduced continuous execution and the idea of retrying until something was successful. So it was really persistence, and that went viral. And there was the component of that lives inside of OpenClaw. So that was sort of that had to happen for, this to happen. The core of this is also something that's called Pi that is actually running, the agent, the autonomy layer of it is Pi. So those two things had to have. Pi has been around for a little bit, but it just didn't come out of nowhere. This guy was responding to sort of what was going on in the community at the time. And so he created all these agents, isolated them, gave them the ability to do things like run bash commands, read, write, and edit files, install packages, browse the web, create cron jobs. And that's pretty much all you need to do all the stuff that you talked about. And then he did some really cool things to give him credit for. He not only gave it memory, which I'm obsessed with just giving AI memory. It's so easy, and it's just a game changer. But he also went with this concept called soul. Like one of the things that you do when you write your Claude bot is you go into this markdown file called soul.md. Kind of like if you're coding in Claude, you have a claude.md, which is just like, here's my techniques and things that, I do all the time that you're feeding into these agents. And
like a custom GPT sort of?
Yeah, it's like instruction.
Okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But this soul one is different. This one is like personality and vibe, and like it was very different, right? Like so, when it comes alive, so to speak, like it has its own personality. It's not just
it did actually. I remember being asking me how does it want to be.
Yeah, that was it. It was writing its soul.
Yeah.
So that was really kind of cool. The guardrails thing, though, like that's really what OpenAI is going to bring to it. Like what tools are allowed, what directories are accessible, who can trigger an execution, what Slack channels are authorized, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And then there's this idea of heartbeats. So he's got soul. Hopefully this doesn't freak all the doomers. Don't listen to us anyways. But a heartbeat is like, it's not quite cron. Cron triggers it, but the heartbeat is like what makes it think. It's sort of like waiting until something happens and then it kind of goes and does it. It's not so much a trigger. It's like more of an intelligent, like contextual trigger.
Yeah,
is a good way to look at it. And so really, it was really about persistence is what this was. The tech was there to be able to do all this stuff. And that Pi architecture, in case people want to look at it, it's just PI. It only had a few core
3.1459, yeah.
Coming up soon. We'll have to, hopefully we'll have a Pi pod. And then if you're
I want to do like a little segue to FileMaker in this one too. So when you're
Cool.
done.
I'll hand it over to you in a second.
'Cause-
But the wrap is for those that are genuinely interested to make sure to. There's so much to talk about here, but um, uh, long story short, like these are a little YOLO, a bit dangerous for those that don't know what they're doing. I wouldn't suggest setting this up.
Yeah,
like people
you got to
can
know
do
what
it
you're
on
doing.
You
Yeah.
got to know what you're doing, and if you run it on a Mac Mini, like literally don't give it access to much. Give it its own account, not your
Right.
accounts, like that kind of
Definitely.
stuff.
That's the biggest thing.
But the real prescription is, and I guess I'll pass it back to you to move it into. We should have a more in-depth conversation about this as things mature. But once it's on open, just wait till it's on OpenAI and build whatever they're offering. It'll be easy to configure and control.
Yeah, for sure.
Your thoughts on bringing this back to?
Okay, so here's the thing. It has memory, which is in a database. Why isn't that in a FileMaker database?
Sure.
Like, what are them? I should think I've been racking my brain about meaningful ways to connect OpenClaw to the FileMaker world. And
Through MCP.
so that's what I was going to say. I wanted to get your idea on it. So I'm in the middle of getting it configured. I've got a couple of problems with token security thing, which I'm sure I'll use AI to get worked through. But if you connect it with MCP tools, then you'd be able to, all the things that you can ask could then actually do things in FileMaker, look things up, create records, connect that to Slack in a completely different way rather than using it directly. So basically you can use conversational commands basically in Telegram. You can have a Telegram conversation to say, create this other new thing. Let's now go ahead and connect Slack, which hadn't been connected. It tells you where to go exactly in Slack to set up and get the queue, the token or whatever. There's several things you have to do in Slack actually to make it work. But anyway, it walks you through all that, and then you paste in the information.
You create a Slack app, and then it actually communicates through the Slack app.
Right. And then without doing anything in FileMaker, now your Slack is connected. So any user on that Slack would then be able to type something in, which would trigger something in Discord, Telegram, and do web searches and track the results in FileMaker. And then through other commands, you could have it configures itself. It's just insane. I think that level of being able to basically write its own tools at your will.
Well, I don't think that might be just a bridge too far on that one.
Too far?
But you've nailed.
Yeah,
the
you're right.
rest.
You're right. It does have to actually have tools, doesn't it?
No, I think you framed it perfectly, and here's how I'd respond to that. Make FileMaker be the only thing it has access to. And then you freak out, oh my God, an agent has access to FileMaker. And they go, no, only the tools you created in the format you created them. And you can, and then
that's
FileMaker
MCP,
for MCP becomes your control mechanism.
Yeah. So what you would probably do is you'd have scripts, only scripts that you say what they can do. And you don't let MCP have access to any raw data. You configure the FileMaker MCP to say, these are the scripts you have access to. And then in your scripts, you have JSON in and JSON out. And
well,
so
you can give it
OpenClaw
read access. Like FileMaker's not going to like backdoor FileMaker into write.
Oh yeah,
access
that's true. That's true.
Give it to that. Just give it its own account, right? Give it a
you have to
account.
Yeah, you have to get its own account and also, of course, its own privilege set, which you would give minimum access
like
to
an
it.
API.
Yeah, exactly.
And then,
interesting. So only FileMaker. Yeah, that would make sense too, right?
I mean, you could start there. You could say only FileMaker and only the web, and maybe not for computer use, but like just to go reference things. And then
and then the insane thing is, right, in FileMaker, then you can actually have FileMaker records or whatever go and trigger commands in OpenClaw, which then can do things and reach back into FileMaker and look stuff up. It's this crazy.
Well,
circuit.
You could just any API call out of FileMaker can be a command to your agent to OpenClaw, right?
Yep.
So, so this means like now small businesses who are actually struggling with, like for example, if you listen to that Lex Friedman episode at the very end, he and Peter, the creator of this, were talking about all these great emails he's gotten from people, and like one of them was like a small business that was able to use this to just like quickly get to customer support issues and get invoices out at the end of the month, more quick, like real just, simple concept things that you can hand off to an agent because they're repeatable tasks that you have guardrails built up in. You already have your FileMaker mechanism here. And you can literally have a thing that you just talk to, maybe even really talk to, that's actually performing completely sandboxed and defined by you tasks within your FileMaker application, and it can be your Jarvis to your FileMaker tool. So I love it. I love that. I love you bringing that in there, and then maybe you expand it out a little bit. Maybe it can do some like web browsing, but not writing stuff. And then maybe you're like, okay, yeah, well, obviously Slack, right? So then you just keep widening it out. But, don't give it access to your accounts or financial information or, your crypto wallet or whatever. But yeah, that's it. And I know we'll be talking more about this in the future because this is not just like a fad. Like it's here to stay. Obviously, OpenAI is making it real. But the concept of autonomy is what we're really talking about. Self-hosted AI agent with autonomy tools and its own like worldview and personality is the thing.
And I'm like in my brain, like the thing you talked about in the middle of the episode was how you had an agent controlling all the other agents and it actually continuously worked for a whole bunch of hours. What was that, by the way?
That's built into this. That's called swarming. It's actually just multi-agent systems, and a little bit of this was somewhat emergent.
Is it something you can do in like Opus 4.6?
Yeah, well, the Claude Code support that when 4.6 came out had agent swarming support built in, so it's more than just the model. Codex 5.3 does the same thing. If you connect OpenClaw to one of these models, it will then benefit from swarms as well too.
Damn.
And yeah, it's crazy, man. And so I guess
this is the most insane episode we've done.
I know. And which is why we have to call it Something Big is Happening. I will get you like really good show notes so people can link to all this stuff, including the OpenClaw stuff. If anybody's interested and they just want to hear more about like the experience that I've had here, just hit me up. Like you guys can find me on LinkedIn or people know where to find me within our community. It's important for me to talk to people about this because like something big is happening right now. And I really want people to feel as energized as I do, as alive as I do, as hopeful for the future and excited about technology as I am right now. Like I'm so not thinking about retiring in, 10 years. I just want to be here for all this, man. And I want everybody to feel that way. So that's maybe a good way for us to end our conversation here.
Yes. Excellent. Today. We got to record again soon, like next week.
Yeah. Anytime, because something big will be happening then too.
Yeah, so, who knows? Well, I mean, there's so much we
didn't even
left unsaid from this one. I know.
Yeah.
All right, excellent, sir.
In OpenClaw. All right, brother.
Thanks, Alexi, for listening this long.
Thanks, everybody. Cheers.